1 hour a day can completely rewrite an individual's destiny. And this truth, though simple, contains one of the greatest levers of personal transformation. Socrates taught that true growth begins when one accepts to examine their life with honesty and intention. And this philosophy is perfectly reflected in the idea that a single hour invested wisely each day can become the force that propels you out of stagnation. This hour of growth is not just an isolated moment. It is a declaration of identity, a commitment to becoming more aware, more disciplined, more aligned. 4% of your day is enough to build a new version of yourself. For it is not intensity that changes a life, but repetition. A focused hour creates cumulative effect. Learning one concept a day gives you 30 books a year. Strengthening a skill each morning quickly places you in the top 5% of your field. Training your mind each evening transforms your thoughts into a clear and powerful system. This hour becomes a refuge against distraction, a sacred space where you regain mastery over your mind. It liberates you from passivity, from the noise of the world, and from influences that seek to dictate your path. 1 hour a day, according to Socrates' mind, allows you to learn what you still do not know, to practice what you want to master, and to reflect on the person you wish to become. It is a virtuous circle that nourishes awareness, excellence, and inner coherence. The deep truth is this: it is not the hour that transforms your life, but the person that this hour shapes day after day. It gives you vision, clarity, and confidence that do not exist in the daily rush and confusion. If you sincerely dedicate 1 hour a day to your development, your future will have nothing to do with your past. An hour may seem insignificant, but when well used, it becomes the foundation of your personal rebirth. For in the end, what you do each day always determines who you become. Discipline is often perceived as a constraint, whereas in reality, it represents the deepest form of human freedom. Socrates asserted that no soul can attain wisdom or excellence until it has learned to govern itself. And this is precisely what the daily hour of growth offers you: self-mastery. 1 hour a day, repeated tirelessly, builds an inner strength that nothing can overturn. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. They act on impulse, give up at the slightest obstacle, live in the chaos of their emotions instead of disciplining themselves to serve their vision. Yet, life becomes surprisingly simple when you decide to commit each day to progress, even a little. A daily hour of discipline creates a new identity. You become the person who shows up, even when it's not easy, the person who moves forward, even slowly, the person who respects themselves because they honor their word. Psychologically, this hour triggers a powerful phenomenon: internal momentum. Each day you discipline yourself strengthens your ability to start again tomorrow. Effort becomes habit, then normality, then necessity. You stop reacting to the world and become an architect, a creator, a being who makes decisions instead of being tossed about by circumstances. Discipline also frees you from guilt, doubt, and anxiety, as you feel that you are truly making progress. Nothing soothes the conscience like progress. Discipline transforms life not through brute force, but through the alignment it creates between your actions, intentions, and values. An hour a day inevitably brings you closer to your goals, even if the results are invisible at first. In truth, discipline is not a sacrifice, it is a strategy. It is the key for those who aspire to a rare life. An hour can change everything if you make it an inner law. Human beings always underestimate the power of small, repeated actions. They seek brutal transformations, instant results, spectacular changes, while greatness is built exactly the opposite way: gently, progressively, silently. The law of cumulative effect shows that tiny gestures, repeated every day, create immense results over time. Socrates taught that consistency in the pursuit of truth is what distinguishes the wise from the ignorant. Similarly, consistency in your personal growth places you on a path that the majority will never be able to follow. An hour a day may seem insignificant, but when added up over a year, it represents the equivalent of 9 weeks of intensive work. Imagine what 9 weeks can accomplish: learning a language, mastering software, starting a business, strengthening your mind, transforming your body, or rewriting your way of thinking. The cumulative effect also acts on your identity. The more you repeat an action, the more you become the person who embodies that action. You don't just read a book, you become a reader. You don't just train, you become disciplined. You don't just learn, you become a person who grows daily. This psychological mechanism is the secret to all lasting successes. The cumulative effect requires neither genius, nor luck, nor ideal circumstances. It requires repetition, and repetition demands the will to see far. The secret is not to do a lot in a short time, but to do a little every day. For small steps, repeated, become a path that nothing can stop. Most people try to transform their lives by changing their actions, but Socrate Mind teaches that true transformation always begins with identity. What you do is merely a consequence of what you believe you are. An hour a day dedicated to your personal development is not just about doing more, but about becoming someone different. As long as you perceive yourself as limited, lazy, unlucky, or incapable, you will unconsciously reproduce behaviors that confirm that identity. The reason so many people fail is not a lack of willpower, but loyalty to a self-image that does not allow for success. Identity is a powerful system that directs your thoughts, emotions, habits, and decisions. It operates silently, like an autopilot. This is why the daily hour becomes a tool for inner reprogramming. Every minute spent reading, reflecting, learning, writing, or training detaches you a little more from your old version. You stop being the person who tries and become the one who is. Identity is reinforced by accumulated evidence. When you dedicate an hour a day to growth, you naturally begin to see yourself as someone who deserves progress, who honors commitments, who acts with intention, who embodies discipline. This new identity then influences all your actions, even outside of that sacred hour. The identity circle works like this. You choose who you want to become, you act each day as that person, and little by little, you authentically become that identity. It is an inner, deep, stable, and irreversible process. This is why Socrate Mind emphasizes that the first question to ask is not, "What should I do?" but "Who should I become?" An hour a day dedicated to your evolution is not an effort, it is a declaration, an affirmation of the person you are building. When identity changes, everything changes. The daily hour is not a routine, it is the way to program your future.
Everyone has 24 hours, but very few know how to use even one of them with intention. What separates those who grow from those who remain stuck is not the amount of time available, but the quality of the time used with focus. Socrate Mind teaches that time is never the problem the absence of awareness is. 1 hour represents only 4% of your day, but when used wisely, it influences the remaining 96%. This daily hour becomes your center, your anchor, your space to think, to learn, to correct, to adjust, and to move forward. When you take control of this hour, you take back control of your entire life. Time is a mirror. It reflects your priorities, your values, and your level of discipline. Most people waste their time without realizing it, drowning in mechanical activities and distractions that bring no growth. But the human mind does not evolve in noise. It evolves in clarity. Dedicating 1 hour a day to yourself naturally reorganizes everything else. You think better, you anticipate better, you decide better. This hour becomes a lever of mental power. It gives birth to the version of you who acts with intention instead of surviving in confusion. Mastering your time means mastering your energy. When you use 1 hour to nourish your mind, your body, or your creativity, you raise your clarity, your motivation, and your resilience for the entire day. This is why those who invest 1 hour in themselves seem to accomplish more. It's not because they have more time, but because their energy is better directed. This hour also creates rhythm, an internal structure that protects you from falling into procrastination. It reminds you daily of your mission, your goals, and your values. Eventually, this hour becomes a mental sanctuary, a moment where you stop being distracted and start being alive again. Because if you cannot control even one single hour of your day, you control your life at no moment. But if you master 1 hour, you can master everything else. Personal growth can only be sustainable when it is built upon a deep why. Without a strong reason, motivation collapses and discipline dissolves. Socrate Mind reminds us that consciousness is the foundation of all lasting change. Those who do not know the reason for their path get lost before they even begin. Dedicating 1 hour a day to your evolution forces you to clarify what you truly want and why you want it. When you take this time to reflect, write, or meditate, buried truths rise to the surface. Your frustrations, your unexpressed desires, your fears, but also your forgotten dreams and ambitions. Understanding your why means understanding your inner energy. It means knowing what drives you, what nourishes you, and what drains you. It also means recognizing what you must let go of in order to move forward. Socrates taught that self-awareness is the greatest of all wisdoms, and this daily hour becomes a laboratory where you analyze your thoughts, behaviors, and habits. When you understand why you want to change, your goals turn into necessities. Your vision becomes a mission. Discipline becomes natural. The daily hour becomes non-negotiable. This why acts as a source of emotional strength. On days when motivation is low, it is what lifts you back up. It transforms fatigue into perseverance and obstacles into stepping stones. Knowing why you do something also enhances your ability to make the right decisions. You stop wasting time on activities that do not serve your purpose. You stop surrounding yourself with people who sabotage your energy. You begin to shape your life around what truly matters. Understanding your why means understanding your inner direction, and a clear direction produces a clear life. The daily hour gives you the space to return to this truth again and again until it becomes an internal compass. He who knows his why can endure any how. That sentence has never been more true. Most of the limits we perceive exist only in our minds, inherited from our past, our environment, or our experiences. Socrate Mind explains that human beings are not born with chains, they learn them. And they can unlearn them. 1 hour a day dedicated to personal growth acts like a mental solvent. It reveals the beliefs that sabotage you, the fears you avoid, and the repetitive patterns that control your life without your permission. When you take time to reflect, to read, to question, and to observe your thoughts, you begin to see the invisible walls you had mistaken for real ones. Many people think they lack talent, but what they truly lack is inner permission. Many think they lack courage, but what they lack is clarity. Many think they lack opportunities, but what they lack is an open mind. This daily hour becomes the space where truth emerges. You are not limited, you are conditioned, and every conditioning can be rewritten. Beliefs do not disappear by force, but by understanding. When you devote this time to studying your mind, you begin to identify ideas inherited from childhood, society, education, or past failures. You realize that these beliefs are nothing more than stories, and you can choose a different story. Breaking invisible chains also means facing your fears. 1 hour a day gives you the space to analyze them, why they exist, what they protect, what they conceal. Often, fear is not a danger, but a signal of expansion. The greatest transformations begin exactly where your fears try to stop you. This daily hour becomes a space of healing, a space of evolution, a space where you take back your power. You begin to see that you are neither your mistakes, nor your traumas, nor your failures. You are the person who chooses what they become. And by dedicating an hour each day to your mind, you break the chains that years have built around you. Your future is not a surprise, it is the direct result of your habits. And among all the habits you can adopt, the daily hour of personal development is one of the most powerful. Socrate Mind teaches that to transform your life, you must start acting today like the person you want to become tomorrow. This hour becomes a portal to your future. It gives you the opportunity to feed the future identity you want to embody. More disciplined, more intelligent, more stable, more courageous, more capable. When you dedicate this hour to learning, improving, training, or creating, you send a deep message to your subconscious. I am already that person. Acting like your future self reshapes your inner posture, boosts your self-esteem, sharpens your decisions, and eliminates distractions. You no longer rely on motivation, your future identity becomes your guide. The daily hour becomes a mental rehearsal of your success. Every day, you strengthen the character you are building. After a few weeks, you feel you are no longer the same person. After a few months, your environment begins to change. After a year, you are unrecognizable. This process works because the human brain is shaped by repetition and intention. When you act as your future self, you create neural pathways that reshape how you think, feel, and respond. You prepare your mind just as an athlete prepares their body. Your future self already exists. It is waiting for you to catch up. The daily hour is the path to reach it. Because becoming is not an event, it is a training. The daily hour is not just a moment of work. It is a sacred ritual, a protected space where one reconnects with oneself. Socrate Mind explains that human beings can only transform by regularly entering a state of deep consciousness, far from the noise of the world. This hour becomes a mental breath. Each day, it cleanses the mind, strengthens the soul, nourishes ideas, and clarifies intentions. It acts like an active meditation. You study, you write, you learn, you program yourself, you correct yourself. This ritual transforms your psyche. It creates a space where confusion becomes clarity, where doubt becomes confidence, where fatigue becomes energy. The sacred hour is not only productive, it is therapeutic. It is a moment where you observe your mind with honesty, where you realign your trajectory, where you take your power back. This hour becomes an anchor. No matter the external chaos, you have this moment where everything becomes simple, logical, obvious again. People lose their power because they have no ritual that brings them back to themselves. The daily hour corrects this. It reminds you of your goals, your values, your mission. It protects you from outside influences, distractions, and automatic living. It turns you into someone conscious, capable of deciding, acting, creating. When you devote this hour to yourself every day, you build a solid inner architecture, a mental fortress, emotional stability, a clarity that makes every decision more effective. The sacred hour is a moment of harmony between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. It is not a luxury, it is essential. Because without ritual, the mind gets lost. With a ritual, the mind becomes unstoppable. In the end, what truly matters is not the hour itself, but what it builds over the long term. Socrate Mind teaches that the real legacy of a human being is the evolution of their consciousness. Every time you dedicate an hour to your development, you add a brick to an invisible monument, your future. You develop a wisdom that influences your relationships, your decisions, your career, your health, your inner peace. You become more stable, more lucid, more powerful. This daily hour creates a legacy that neither time, nor circumstances, nor adversity can destroy. It transforms you from within so you can face life with greatness. It gives you a strength you didn't know you possessed. You begin to inspire others not through your words, but through your example. Your discipline becomes a light. Your consistency becomes a message. Your evolution becomes living proof that change is possible. The inner legacy is not meant to impress others, but to free your own potential. 1 hour a day may seem tiny, but over a decade, it represents more than 3,600 hours, the equivalent of 2 full years of work devoted entirely to yourself. Imagine what you can accomplish with 2 years of pure, focused, intentional growth. You can reinvent your entire life. You can break the cycles of your past. You can become a version of yourself you never could have imagined. And it all begins with this simple decision. Dedicate 1 hour a day to your mind. This is how you build a destiny.